Good evening, my friends. This is Angie Stewart from My Inner Light, Miami Inner Light, and we are here live in Kardec Radio. If you are new to this show, we study every 2 weeks. Beautiful books. This one is Among Brothers of Other Lands. We are already in almost half of the book. We are in chapter 16. And the chapter 16 was a very big chapter, so we split it in two. And tonight, we are finishing up. So it's a great chapter. It's a beautiful conversation. And so we needed more time to be able to talk about it. And we finished chapter 5 of the Gospel According to Spiritism. Chapter 5 is the biggest chapter in the whole Gospel. So it is long, and we spent like months studying it, and we finished. So now we are going to study chapter 6. That's a very, very short chapter, beautiful chapter, and we are going to try to start it tonight. So as we always do, first of all, hopefully you have some water so you can place next to you, and when we finish the studies, the spirits will be able to bless it, and it will be your good medication for the rest of the week, and you can complete with more water, do another prayer, and you will have enough water until we come back to another study. As we always do, let's close our eyes for brief seconds just to do our initial prayer. Okay? Dear God, our Master Jesus, our guardian angels, thank you so much for your presence, inspiring us, helping us to connect, helping us to fully understand everything we will be studying tonight. So when the study finish, we will have this positive sensation, this good vibration surrounding us, and we will be able even to send loving energy to the ones we love. Thank you so much, so be it. Very good. Very good. I can't believe I have no problems with Facebook. Woo! That's so good. That's so good. I have to be quiet to don't have any kind of issue here. But let's see. So we have, hello, Matthew. Nice to have you here, Matthew. Sol Souza, Cláudia Garcês. Hello, Claudinha. Nice to have you here. Matthew, hello after missing a few. Yes, you're vacationing from us. You have to go to YouTube or to the old Facebook video so you can catch up with the book, Matthew. I know you barely missed any before. Hello, everyone. Cláudia Garcês said. Carla is here. Hello, Carla. Thank you for being here. Dana Sol said, hi, Angela. Thank you. Yes. Hello, hello. Before I forget, I want to wish you all a very happy Valentine's Day. In Brazil, Valentine's Day is just for boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, partners that are in love. But in America, it's very different. You also wish Valentine's Day to your friends, to your co-workers, to people that you really care. So it's much more broad and very, very nice. Very nice. So I wish you all a wonderful Valentine's Day tomorrow. And so let's start with Among Brothers of Other Lands. We read until half of the chapter. It's kind of quite a long chapter. I don't want to lose much time because I really want to finish. And so just to the ones that didn't catch the last time, this is called The Interview in New York. And this is a Brazilian spirit nicknamed Brother X. And Brother X was a very famous writer, poet from Brazil. His correct name is Humberto de Campos. And there is a beautiful story, it was a long story. He decided to change his name and start psychographing messages and books through the medium Chico Xavier, but using nickname of Brother X, so his family wouldn't give any type of trouble to the medium Chico Xavier. Because in that time, as you can imagine, if nowadays very few people believe in mediumship, especially free mediumship, imagine in that time. So it was very difficult, and there was some kind of lawsuit that the family of Humberto de Campos did to Chico Xavier. They basically said, we don't believe you, but if this is really Humberto de Campos, we have the rights to have the payment for these books. Amazing. So this interview is good for us to understand that whatever we are doing here when we are incarnated, when we die and we cross over and we wake up in the spiritual realm, we will not be different. We will be what we are. So if you are a very talkative person, you will be a talkative person. If you're shy, you'll be shy. If you are a doctor, you will be a doctor. If you are, I don't know, whatever you are, a translator, you speak many languages. So whatever characteristics you have, knowledge that you acquired, you will keep the same knowledge in the spiritual realm. And this text shows you this because Humberto de Campos was a reporter per se. He really had this mind that used to think really quickly, and because he was a writer, he really knew how to make questions deep to the point. And that's how he is in the spiritual realm. So he continued being an investigative reporter, as we can say. And so this text from last 2 weeks ago, he was walking in New York with a friend when he met this man who is quite famous American reporter, American journalist. His name is Horace Greeley. Horace Greeley. He was very famous in his time, and he worked in many different newspapers, many different publishers. I actually found his Wikipedia page, and I put in our Facebook page, Miami Inner Light, and also in the Miami Inner Light group. So you can go there, you can see details, you can see his pictures. So it's very interesting to understand about his life. Pretty much similar to Benjamin Franklin, another famous American who was also a publisher that also worked in newspapers, but 100 years before. So super intelligent man, Horace Greeley. And Humberto de Campos takes the opportunity to see him and talk to him, and he asks him if he would be okay in answering some questions about spiritism, because he knew, he researched about it. So he's like, yeah, sure, whatever you want. So they have this conversation. He answered few questions, and today we are going to continue with these questions and answers. So I decided this time, instead of reading everything and commenting at the end, I will read one question, then his answer, and then I will add some comments. And of course, you guys are welcome to add comments or questions, whatever you want, so we can make it a little bit more interactive, okay? So the question that we stopped was, when Humberto de Campos, brother X, asked him, do you think that the Kardashian codification is inexpugnable, meaning is unconquerable? And then he says, in essence of the teachings that it bears, it stands over incorruptible directions and guidelines as life itself. But on the surface that the words bring about, it is natural that it suffers review over time, as any other human construction on earth, despite its respectability. Anyhow, you, our Latin brothers, owe Allan Kardec unimaginable benefits on the moral plane, mainly because he was faithful to the spirit instructors that coordinated his work. He presented it as their doctrine, meaning the doctrine of the spirits, not the doctrine of Kardec per se, of a universal character in the review of the gospel of Christ. We Anglo-Saxon colleagues highlight 2 points in the fundamental importance that Allan Kardec did not neglect in favor of humankind. 1. The binding of Spiritism to the dynamic Christianity and the obligation of free mediumship. Dynamic Christianity is a school of guidance that interferes in the process of conscience, awakening each individual to the responsibility of living. And the free mediumship is the only means of secure and free manifestation of the spiritual world. So this conversation, like we see here, the signature is from New York, July 12, 1965. So this conversation was taken in 1965. And both spirits here are in the spiritual realm. So this conversation is taken in the spiritual realm. So can you imagine when we cross over and we meet there? Imagine, I don't know, some of you I haven't met personally, for example, Matthew. And then we go to the spiritual world and we're like, boom, we finally meet. Hey, Matthew, how are you? We can have very constructive conversations in the spiritual realm. We can continue whatever we were doing here. That's why it's so important for us to be able to build up our intelligence and our moral characteristics, because this is what we will take with us. Of course, we will take with us our mistakes too, because we are not perfect. We are trying to get better. That's why we are here. We are trying to improve day by day, little bit by little bit. We are still imperfect anyway. And there will be a lot of people that don't like us anyway. And actually, there will be people that love us, that like us. So this is normal at this point of our lives here on the spiritual planet Earth. But we are building up our progress. This is the important thing. Everything that we have, that we physically own, it's not going to go with us. Only what we acquire spiritually, intellectually, morally. So let's continue doing it, because that's what is so important. So if you guys want to make any questions, please let me know. My God, my table is shaking so much. Let me know if you want to ask any questions. Hello, Teresa. I was missing her. I'm like, oh, Teresa is not here. Hello, Valeria. Nice to have you here. Very good. Gabriel Inácio. Very good. Gabriel said, thanks for sharing such a marvelous knowledge, dear Angela. Yes, the spirits, they have amazing knowledge. We try to interpret it with all our character defaults, of course. So Matthew said, look forward to it. Yes, Matthew, but let's hope it's going to take some time for us to meet in the spiritual realm. Let's try to meet in the physical realm first. So, what Horace Greeley was trying to say in this answer? Basically, he's explaining here when he says, Latin brothers, anyhow, you, Latin brothers, us, Latin brother, Matthew, probably the Anglo-Saxon representative here, and few others, of course. So he says, the Latin brothers owe Allan Kardec unimaginable benefits on the moral plane, mainly because he was faithful to the spirit instructions that coordinated his work. He presented it as their doctrine. So this is a very important point. When Kardec came to Earth, he had this very important mission. Some spirits have a very important mission. We all have missions, but it doesn't mean they are extremely important. Most of us have normal missions within ourselves, with our family members, our friends, but certain spirits that are more prepared, they have bigger missions. So the mission of Kardec was really codifying the Spiritist philosophy. And the spirits who protected him, who guided him to this incarnation, they were aware that he could fail in his mission. Because only when you reincarnate and you're really on the earth in this physical body, that's when the spirits are going to be able to see if you really can accomplish your mission, or if unfortunately you are going to end up going towards the vicissitudes of life, or you're going to go paying attention to other things that were not important. But Kardec really was able to accomplish it to the perfection. But the spirits, the high level spirits, they always have a plan B. They are always really well prepared, like we should be. We should always have a plan B, because we never know when you really want to do something, maybe it's going to fail. So you have to have a plan B. Like you're searching for a job, you want that job, but if that job doesn't work, you need to have a plan B until certain things happen, and maybe you can go back to plan A, or maybe plan B will be actually really good for you. In the case of Kardec, they sent the spirit Leon Denis. So Leon Denis reincarnated a few years after Kardec. So in the case Kardec failed in his mission, Leon Denis would be well prepared to pick up and accomplish it. But as we know, Kardec did not fail. Leon Denis was a really, really good contributor. And after Kardec discarnated, Leon Denis really worked even harder at producing beautiful books and a great, great material in Spiritism. So here he's explaining that the Kardec was very faithful, because he was the one doing the super hard work. If you can just imagine the amount of letters Kardec used to receive. Yes, because in the past there was no WhatsApp, there were no phone calls, there were just letters. So you had to write, and you had to read, and you had to send the letters. Depending on the time, the letters went by carriage, so it took a long time to arrive in the destination. I remember, I'm not that old as Kardec, but I remember when I was young, when I was 18, I was doing something called Pen Pal in Brazil. I really wanted to learn English. because it was very important to go to college in Brazil. I needed to be able to pass in the written test in English. And I was horrible, horrible. I was horrible in English. I did not like English, it was really difficult. And someone told me, well, you should get some pen pals, some friends in letters, because it would help you to practice writing. So you would think, write, think, write. So I did. And a letter used to take 1 month, 1 month to arrive. Most of the letters, they used to come by boat. Yes, by boat. And especially from Brazil, I didn't have a lot of money. I was a student. So I wanted to spend the least amount of money possible. So when I went to buy a stamp to another country, they used to ask me, do you want by boat or by airplane? And the cheapest was by boat. So I'm like, by boat, of course. So it took a month. So imagine in the time of Kardec, he was receiving letters from mediums from all over the world. And was not just the fact of receiving letters. He had to read the letters. He had to understand what was this talking about. He had to separate letters that he thought were really serious, letters he could really trust, and letters that were just like things, curiosity of whatever. Then he took all this besides his own mediumship meetings, where he directly asked the spirits questions to start codifying the spirit's book. So after he had hundreds, thousands of questions, he had to start doing a cleansing job. Like, this is good, no, throw it out. This is good, this is good, this is good, but they are very similar. So let's put them in one. So can you imagine the level of organization required? It's amazing. And also his way of thinking, when you read the spirit's book, it's really beautiful the way he starts from one question to another and another and another. His way of thinking. Just to think about the first question. He asked the spirits, what is God? He didn't ask, who is God? And we always think about God as a person, as a personification. We always imagine this old man with a white beard, white hair. But Kardec, no, he's like, no, what is God? So just for you to have an understanding how intelligent he was and how trustworthy he was, because he had so much work, was so difficult, and it was not fully accepted. Imagine you nowadays. We talk to spiritism to certain people, and they look at us like, what? What? I thought she was nice, but she's kind of crazy. That's true. That's what a lot of people think. They still cannot grasp the fully understanding of the spiritist message. They sometimes, people that are more open-minded, people that are spiritualists, they have a better understanding and a better acceptance. But other people, especially people that are very connected with intellect, they have a very hard time to even accept God. Imagine all the other precepts of Spiritism. So when you talk about Kardec, 1800s, it was very difficult for him. And the people were really angry at him. So he was very loyal, and he faced lots of difficulties, even financially. Even financially was difficult for him, but he was loyal to it. And he codified the doctrine, saying It was the doctrine of the spirits, not Allan Kardec's doctrine. This is really, really beautiful because he could have said, I put all together, I did this, I did the research. But no, he's like, this is from the spirits. I'm just the organizer, the administrator of the knowledge. So it was really, really beautiful and powerful. And so he continues saying that he quantified the doctrine, their doctrine, or the doctrine of the spirits, of a universal character in the revival of the gospel of Christ. And then he continues. We Anglo-Saxon colleagues highlight 2 points in the fundamental importance of Allan Kardec that Allan Kardec did not neglect in favor of humankind. The first one, binding spiritism to the dynamic Christianity. So connecting spiritism with the dynamic Christianity. He explains here what is a dynamic Christianity. He says, dynamic Christianity is a school of guidance that interferes in the process of conscience, awakening each individual to the responsibility of living. So nowadays, we understand dynamic Christianity is really that person who is Christian, meaning believes in Christ, but not just believes, or not just a person who has the Bible, for example, memorized. You know, it's very easy to memorize the moral teachings of Jesus. It's easy. People who have a good memory, people who have a special training for reading books, it's easy to memorize. What is difficult is to put in practice. To put in practice is much more difficult than to know it. I can know something really well, but I cannot fulfill it. So imagine, I know practicing charity is really good. Have you ever practiced charity? No, I actually no. So that's the point. One thing is to know something, another thing is to do it. And of course, we are human beings like this. So many times we are really good and we are here practicing charity, helping others. Someone attacks us, we are able to control ourselves and being nice, not fighting. But sometimes it's not like that. Sometimes we fail and we fight and we forget and we think more about us than we think about others. So there is all intangibles. But the good thing is that we know we have to do it. We are here, we are learning, and we continue practicing, even little by little. But this is the really, how he says, this is really the dynamic Christianity. You know it and you do it. You just don't listen, just listen and stay comfortable in your home doing nothing, but you actually are moved to help others and consequently helping yourself. And then he continues, and the obligation of free mediumship. And they're like, free mediumship? And then he continues here, free mediumship is the only means to secure free manifestation of the spiritual world. The only means of securing this free manifestation. So if Kardec in that time had said the mediumship was okay, was allowed to be charged because it was like a profession, because it was like something that you know how to do well, so you can use this to make money, to survive. Who didn't want to be able to see spirits, talk to spirits, help their family, and be paid for this? You didn't even study that, and it just boom, fell in your head, and you can make a profit of it. But Kardec knew this was not the way to go. And we have the beautiful book that talks about mediumship. That's the second book of the codification, the Medium's book, that talks everything about the mediumship, different types of mediumship, why mediumship has to be free, how to deal with spirits. It's a wonderful book. It's really, really good, full of knowledge. So if you haven't read that yet, please do not skip this book. It's really, really important for us to understand. So now he continues. Oh my God, it's already 9:32. The time flies. Flies so quickly. Hi, Teresa. Saul Souza said, yes, thank you, Kardec, for bringing light to Christ. Yes, yes. Isabella says, hi, Valeria. I'm happy Isabella is watching. So, why do we fail? Why do you think so? Think about it. You know, many times for example, I have seen many times in videos nowadays, and you know, Facebook, it's good because it brings lots of things for us. And I have seen many things type of. There are many different, but this one, a kid that was on the streets without shoes, and he's begging for money, and he begs for money to another kid, and the kid says, I don't have money to give it to you. And this poor kid is leaving, and then he goes back and he asks, what's the size of your shoe? And he says, oh, it's 7. And then he said, oh, mine too. Would you rather have my shoes? Because I have another shoe in the house, but I can give you my shoes. And the kid is like, yes. So this kid that is not rich, but he has more shoes in his home, takes his own shoe and gives to the poor kid. And then we think, yeah, but this is normal. Everybody does it. Really? Everybody does it? So this is the thing. Would you be able to do it? Or if your kid wanted to do it, would you allow it? Or would you say, what are you doing? No, don't do it. That's the one simple example, but there are so many other examples. For example, we understand that violence don't make any sense, don't help us to progress, and we preach to be good and peaceful and nice to everyone, and then suddenly someone closes you in traffic and the person is wrong, and the person comes towards you super aggressive. Like today, this morning, I was driving and this happened right next to me. So this man actually was the one who cut this woman, and he came super aggressive. He opened the door. He came out really like ready to fight. And she got out of the car also ready to fight. So if this happens to us, would we be ready to fight, or we would be like, sir, I'm sorry, let's not start it like this? Many times it's even better for us to apologize for something that was not our fault than to get into a fight. And nowadays, the world is so crazy. Violence explodes so quickly that many times people even get killed in a traffic light problem. So this is what I'm saying, that many times we fail. We know what is right, but many times we just can't do it in that time. So that's what I was talking about. Now, continue with the mediumship. So the next question is, sir, what do you think about the paid mediumship? And then Horace Greeley answers. So Greeley smiled in a pause that seemed that he was reflecting upon the delicate issue that our question raised, and frankly considered. We cannot forget that in English language, We have had abnegated mediums at all times. They had given everything to the cause of truth without any monetary reward. On their side, many others had the need for the material support for the service that they were called upon. However, we are forced to recognize that the mediumship must be free, or the new revelation will be suppressed or impaired by inferior or exclusivist interests. So his answer is, I understand there are mediums that are paid and they are actually good and that they do a service, so they are being paid, but I really recognize that the right thing to do is not to be paid, because as Chico Xavier said many times, whatever you get for free, you have to give for free. So mediums, this is an organic faculty. It's an organic thing that you are born, your physical body has it. So it's not something that you study. Yes, you can study to improve it, but you cannot just never saw a spirit in your life and you're going to read a book or you're going to do a class and you're going to start seeing spirits. No, this is not going to happen. But if you already had sensations, feelings, and sometimes you saw things moving around, and you're like, you have this deep sensation that there is something there, but you're trying to hide. And then you study or you focus, yes, you will be able to develop what you already have. So in America, for example, I even wrote some names here because United States is very famous for having lots of mediums. Of course, United States is a gigantic country. Is like Brazil, is a little bit bigger than Brazil. So lots of mediums here. And as we mentioned before, there are mediums everywhere, in every country, in every religion, in every type of society, rich, poor. Mediumship is everywhere. But a lot of people choose not to talk about it because it's not well accepted. So most of people try to ignore or they don't talk about it, but it exists everywhere. And many times when you are talking to small groups about it, they laugh, they da la la la. But from this group, many times one or two people come in private and they say, it's funny, I never wanted to admit, but I think I see spirits. And you're like, why don't you say that? Oh no, I don't want anyone to think I'm crazy. So this is usually what happens. So for example, the famous American mediums from nowadays, they are alive. John Edward, he's very famous. He had a TV show for a long, long time. He gives talks in many places. He does readings for people. Then has also James Van Praagh. He is wonderful. He wrote beautiful books explaining how his mediumship started, everything he went through. So I read a few of his books and he's really great. Alison Dubois, she is amazing. She is amazing. She has a type of mediumship that she used to work with the police because she could touch certain objects that were from a person that's disappeared, for example, and she, from that energy from the object, she could be connected to the owner and help the police to discover where this person was, or she could even discover what happened to him or her. These are the famous from nowadays. And the famous from the past was Edgar Cayce, super famous. Spiritists study him a lot, lots and lots of books. Everything he did was for free. He worked for free. He had a mediumship that he could connect while his physical body was sleeping, and he used to be able to remember and write lots of books about medication, how to treat patients in a more holistic way. He is really amazing. Another one is Andrew Jackson Davis. He's actually the mentor of Inner Enlightenment in New York City, the Spirit Center that I used to be a director for so many years. He was a medium extremely powerful, and the president, Abraham Lincoln, actually had the seances in his home with him and his wife. The wife of Abraham Lincoln is actually the one who believed in spirituality, and she invited Andrew Jackson to the White House to have readings, and his mediumship was amazing. The all these mediums that I just said that exist everywhere, if they are not spiritists, if they do not know Allan Kardec, if they never studied decodification, they are unaware it should be for free. So we cannot condemn them because they don't understand it. So we have to think that in one way is very positive. Because of them, they are actually helping to spread the news that the life goes on, that the life is not just this physical body here, but when this physical body dies, the spirit that really makes this physical body go will continue alive and somehow will be able to communicate. So this is beautiful, and we have to think about this positive thing, even if the ideal is really not charging anything, because that's exactly what Chico Xavier did for all his life. He wrote around 440 something books, because even after his life, he had so many papers everywhere that his friends and family are collecting everything and creating new books. So everything was free. He donated all his rights to the Spiritist centers. He donated to the Spiritist Federation in Brazil. The same thing with Divaldo Franco, another very good medium who also donated everything. Raul Teixeira and many others. So they have this full understanding that mediumship has to be free because we received it for free, and we should work towards the benefit of others, not just our own benefit, but the benefit of others as well. And then he continued with another question. Where I got lost here. 1 second. Oh yes, I'm in the wrong page. Oh God. That's old age. And then he goes, we know that you, sir, met the Fox sisters. So the Fox sisters were these kids, these 3 kids that lived in upstate New York. There are many books about the Fox sisters. There are movies, there are plays. And these girls, they were really mediums. They were really mediums. They were not charlatans. They were really mediums, especially 2 of them. And they were able to communicate with the spirit of this man who had been murdered in their home and buried on the bottom of the house, and his spirit was feeling like trapped there. So they were able to communicate with the spirit through some taps, and later on they were able to improve and talk to many spirits. But of course, the answer of Greeley is really good, because he explains that who is he to judge? It's very difficult. So let's read what he answers. So he says, yes, absolutely. Would you like to add any consideration regarding their history? And he says, no, as a pioneer of progress, they experienced the vicissitudes of their terrestrial climate in which they lived. It will not either be licit to recognize their characteristics or reproach their weaknesses. They were like us, human beings, living between the attractions of the shadows and the demands of the light. Meaning, we know that the Fox sisters later on start really selling their mediumship to attract lots and lots of people. They start going to big places, and thousands of people used to show up to see they're talking to spirits, they're moving objects. And of course, reached to a point that whenever it did not happen, had that sense that you have to produce something, because now there are thousands of people that paid to see you. So they started lying. And then later on, is a long story, but later on, some priests paid one of the sisters to admit everything they did was a lie, because they were involved in alcoholism, and they were getting bills they couldn't pay. They were getting in a lot of trouble. And then this priestess told, I will give you this amount of money for you to say that everything you and your sisters did was a big lie. And she did. She accepted the money. She went publicly, and all the newspapers said the Fox sisters, a big lie. There are no spirits. It never existed. Many years later, she felt really bad with the repercussion, and she went back to the news to say, no, it was all true. I received money to say it was wrong, but the damage was done. Nobody believed in them anymore, and they did not believe in the mediumship again. So mediumship, it's very difficult. It's unfortunately, it can be deceiving. People can pretend they see spirits. They can charge money to do this, and a lot of people end up paying, and some of them believe deeply, and unfortunately it's not true. So we have to be very careful with it. So then he continued, I felt as if my survey was becoming a long inquiry. Then I summarized, sir, do you have any suggestions for us, your Brazilian siblings? As much as possible, let us cultivate the efforts of reciprocal approach. Let us learn and serve together. Let us know each other. Let us exchange studies and conclusions. Evolution is a work of spirits who are united. I focus my attention with tenderness onto the founder of the Herald Tribune and finished. We are extremely satisfied. We are very grateful for your sincere and persuasive word. We have on you one of the highest glories of the American journalism. And it will not be fair to forget that New York honors your memory with a statue in the Greeley Square. The interviewer, however, stopped my observation, affirming, do not say that. I am simply a conscious spirit trying to fulfill my duty. And he added, smiling, if you believe in the existence of human glories, when you pass by the referred square of the referred statue, observe that dust and doves do not believe in that. Afterwards, Horace Greeley said expressions of friendship after the blessings that moved me. He moved away quickly as someone who was going to urgent duties under the gray night. New York, July 12, 1965. So this was the message from Horace Greeley. So very beautiful, very intelligent and interesting perspective. So I'm very happy we're able to finish that chapter. We have a few minutes now. I didn't even see if you guys wrote anything else. We need to go to the gospel. Dun, 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 dun. So Valeria asks, we fell because we are far away from our spirit. No, Valeria, we are the spirit. We are a spirit. Angela is a spirit. You are a spirit. We fail because we are far from being perfect. We are trying to achieve perfection, but it's not easy. We are not going to achieve perfection in one life. Even if we already had hundreds of lives, sometimes thousands of lives. So many times that some people say, oh, this is spirit, he's an old spirit. And maybe he is, because he or she behaves like an old person. Not the old in the sense of being cranky and angry and but the old in the sense of really being wiser and not acting like a child, but being very wise. We know that nowadays millions of kids are reincarnating, millions of special kids, the kids they call crystal or indigo. So this kids, especially the indigo children, they are extremely intelligent. So these kids, they have this intelligence that's top level, that develops super quickly. But most of these indigo kids, they don't have morality super level. So they are a little bit like this, super intelligent, but not very morally developed. So they have mothers and fathers that have to help them to be able to improve. And the crystal children are the children that are super intelligent and super moral elevated. So they come as a mission to help their parents, their family, their society, and they will help us to evolve as a better society to the future. So Carolina Correa, hello Carolina, how are you? So Matthew said, have another source of money if one is a medium. Exactly, Matthew. That's what we have to do. Because if we receive it for free, let's give it for free. So let's study, let's work with something else, and then we can just use our mediumship to the benefit of others, helping thousands of spirits, in the sense that many times something that helps one is a lesson to other 100 spirits that are listening to that. So Saul said, and did they charge for their mediumship, Angela? Yes, they did. The Fox sisters. In the beginning, they did not. In the beginning, they were children. They were very, very young. They were just trying to prove that they really could talk to spirits. But then they got a manager. The older sister became a manager. Then she started getting bigger venues. Then they had to pay rent. They were very poor. So, oh, I'm going to sell hundreds of tickets. So you charge $5 per person. Who knows? So they started charging, and they started getting more and more and more famous, and they started renting bigger places for bigger events. So unfortunately, that's when they start failing. So if the medium is not a spiritist, they will charge for the mediumship. Is that bad? Since they don't know the obligation of free mediumship. So yes, it's not as bad as if they knew it. So we know that the charging is not good. But if the person don't have a knowledge of that, so they will, when they pass to the spiritual realm, for example, will be different than me. Imagine I am spiritist. I know this. I know it should not be charged. And if I still charge, I will be judged much more harshly than someone that had no idea about it. And someone who actually thought he was helping people and he was charging them to survive. So it's always very difficult because there are so many intangibles and we are not the best judges. We don't know the whole truth. But yes, everything you said is correct. If the medium does not know about it, he will be judged, analyzed in a less harsh way. But it is, especially if it's a Brazilian medium, because Spiritism is so super well known in Brazil, and somehow someone probably will tell this person that they should not charge. So there are many intangibles. But when we talk about the Americans, for example, they don't have this type of knowledge. So we have always to look at the positive things. As I said, they are bringing knowledge to hundreds, thousands of people about the life after death, and this is really what is very important at this moment. We should always try not to judge, so we are not going to be judged either. I know it's hard, but that's the thing we should always try. And we have to go to the gospel. We have very few minutes, but I want to start. So, gospel according to Spiritism. We finished chapter 5, was long. It's the longest chapter of the whole book. And now we are going to start chapter 6. This is the smallest chapter of the whole book. It's just like 6 or 8 pages. It's super quickly. So we spend months in the other one, and these are going to spend like just few weeks. So this chapter talks about the consoling Christ. I'm going to just read the beginning. The easy yoke. Come unto me, all you who suffer and who are overburdened, and I will comfort you. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me that I am gentle and humble of heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. This is a saying of Jesus, and it's in Matthew. So Kardec comments, all types of suffering, misery, disappointment, physical pain, loss of loved ones find their consolation in faith, in the future, and in trust of God's justice, which Christ came to teach humankind. On the other hand, upon those who expect nothing after this life, or who simply doubt afflictions bear down with all their weight, and no hope comes to soften their bitterness. That is what led Jesus to say, come unto me, all of you who are weary, and I will comfort you. Nevertheless, Jesus places one condition on the assistance of happiness he promised to the afflicted. The condition is found in the law that he teaches. His yoke is the observance of that law, but this yoke is easy and the law is gentle, since it imposes love and charity as a duty. So it's very beautiful, this message from Jesus. And this is really the consoling Christ. So Christ came to earth 2,000 years ago to help us with our sufferings. We suffer until nowadays because everyone on earth that's not a perfect planet with imperfect human beings, we have pains. We have physical pains, we have moral pains, we miss a loved one who passed away, or you lose your job and you have lots of bills, you're desperate. So there are many things that make us human beings to suffer, to go through harsh times and difficulties. So what Jesus is saying is that come to me. So what means come to me? Especially when we don't have a physical Jesus to go. It's come to me is believe me, have faith in me, have faith in my words, have faith that this earth is not the real life. The real life is the spiritual one. And we know that that's the real life. One day we will cross over and we will fully understand what is the real life. Here, we try to improve ourselves. We have to pay bills. We have things that we have to do. But it's very important when we are suffering, instead of being with that attitude of poor me, why me? Like Chico Xavier always said, why not you? Why are you different from your neighbor? So your neighbor can suffer, but you can't. What happened is that I believe in Jesus and I have a faith that my pain shall pass. And this is the most important thing. That's what Jesus came to tell us. This also shall pass. So we have to understand it. Whatever we are going through, it is important in that time to teach us a lesson, to help us with something that maybe in a previous life we couldn't understand. So we have a deprivation of a loved one in a young age, or whatever is the situation. But we have the consolation of faith. We have the consolation of trust that there will be another life, that life will continue, that we will meet again, that this I have to go through it and it will pass. Somehow it will pass. Maybe it takes a long time, maybe it takes a shorter time. But the ones who do not have it, the ones who do not believe in God, the ones who do not understand that the message of Jesus yet, these are the ones who really suffer. These are the ones who get desperate. They don't see a way of anything getting better. They don't have faith in a better life. They are so physically connected to the now that they cannot see anything tomorrow. And these are the ones who are the danger candidate for a suicide, because they do not believe in after death. They do not believe that there is a solution for their problem. So they start thinking, why to live? Why to live? Maybe I should kill myself. Why to continue suffer? Someone who has a disease that's degenerative or whatever, and they think, oh, I'm going to become a vegetable, so it's better for me to die right now before I become a vegetable. The thing is, like, those people, they suffer even more, because we all will wake up in the other side, but we will wake up better or worse depending on how we lived here. That's the big thing. So, my friends, we passed the time, so let's do a quick prayer and then we can come back again in 2 weeks. Okay? Dear God, beloved Master Jesus, thank you so much for many blessings received tonight. Please send this loving energy to all our loved ones, our family members, people that we care and are far from us. And help us, Jesus, to be able to have faith, to be strong, and most of all, to be able to fulfill the teachings of Jesus. Even if sometimes we fall, please help us to stand up and start again. Thank you so much. So be it. Very good, my friends. Thank you so much for being here. It was great. I hope you you all benefit from this beautiful book, and the teachings here are amazing. And it's really very good, very important for us to be able to study together. So we can read alone, but it's good when someone else reads, someone make comments, so you start thinking about it, seeing other ideas, other perspectives, and we can improve together. So thank you so much. I'm super late. Thanks a lot. God bless you all. Happy Valentine's Day tomorrow. See you soon. Bye.